They say the most devastating truths don't arrive with thunder or fire. They come quietly, slipping into your life in the middle of an ordinary day, when your defenses are down and your heart is unguarded. For Jack, it was a Tuesday morning. The sun was gentle, the city was waking, and the world seemed safe. Jessica kissed his cheek before leaving, her red dress glowing like a flame against the cool light of dawn. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you more," he replied. He believed it with every fiber of his being. She didn't, because just a few hours later, a single message would tear his world apart. Not an accident, not fate, but betrayal. It wasn't just a text. It was a photograph. His wife, Jessica, in the arms of another man, locked in a kiss that burned away years of trust in an instant. Jack's breath caught in his throat. His hands shook. His mind screamed for an explanation that would never come. And then came the second message, sharper, colder, like a knife pressed against his chest. "Your wife isn't who you think she is. And neither are her friends. I'll prove it." This wasn't a warning. It was a declaration of war. And the enemy wasn't a stranger. It was someone inside his wife's circle, someone she trusted with her secrets. In that moment, Jack's perfect world shattered into 1,000 pieces, and the truth was clear. Everything he thought he knew was a lie. This isn't just a story about infidelity. It's about betrayal that cuts deeper than love, a twisted game of secrets, and the terrifying reality hiding in plain sight. Are you ready to see how it all unravels? The phone lay heavy in Jack's trembling hand, the screen still blazing with that damning image. The silence in his perfect, quiet home was now a deafening roar of betrayal. How could this be real? How could Jessica, his Jessica, be capable of such a thing? And Chloe, Jessica's best friend, the one who sent the text, the one who promised to prove it all. The questions clawed at his mind, but beneath the shock, something colder began to form. A resolve. He had to know the truth. Every ugly, painful detail. His eyes fixed on Chloe's number. He knew he shouldn't call. Every instinct screamed danger, warned him this was a trap. But a darker part of him, a part he never knew existed, compelled him forward. He pressed call. The line rang. Once, twice, an eternity. Then, click. "Jack?" Chloe's voice was low, stripped of its usual cheer, replaced with a calm, almost resigned tone. "I knew you'd call." Her words weren't sharp. They weren't even surprised. They felt inevitable. "We can't talk on the phone," she continued. "Meet me. Tonight, 8 o'clock. The old diner on Elm Street. Come alone. And don't tell Jessica the line went dead." Jack stood frozen, the world tilting beneath his feet. He was being pulled into something he didn't understand, a clandestine meeting, orchestrated by his wife's best friend, to expose his wife's betrayal. This was a nightmare. But he was wide awake. The diner was a graveyard of broken dreams, smelling of stale coffee and burnt toast. Jack slid into a booth in the back, his heart pounding like war drums against his ribs. Every shadow seemed alive, every clink of silverware a hidden message. Then Chloe arrived, but she wasn't alone. Two other women, faces Jack knew all too well from Jessica's circle, slipped into the booth. Olivia, sharp-eyed, cautious, her silence unnerving. Sophia, calm, analytical, with a gaze that seemed to pierce through Jack's soul. This wasn't a conversation. This was an ambush, or not an alliance. Chloe didn't waste time. "Jack, this won't be easy to hear," she said, her voice steady but lined with steel. "Jessica hasn't just betrayed you. She's been living a double life for years, and you're not the only one she's hurt." Jack felt his stomach twist. "What are you talking about?" Olivia leaned forward, her voice quiet but firm. "We tried to stop her. We confronted her. She laughed in our faces, said we were jealous, said you were too blind to ever see the truth." Jack swallowed hard. His throat was dry, his pulse deafening. Sophia's eyes never left him. She spoke slowly, as though weighing each word. "Jack, she doesn't just cheat. She mocks you, calls you predictable, a man too easy to manipulate." The words hit like knives. Jack shook his head, anger and disbelief colliding. "Why are you telling me this?" "She's your friend." Chloe's expression hardened. "She was our friend." But a friend doesn't betray everyone around her. A friend doesn't brag about humiliating her husband. Her voice sharpened. "Jessica isn't just unfaithful, Jack. She's cruel. And we've had enough piece by piece." The women set their evidence before him. Screenshots of texts, secret rendezvous, cheap excuses, whispered lies, voicemails and call logs. Jessica's voice, dripping with disdain, mocking the very man who loved her most. It was overwhelming. It was incontrovertible. Jack stared at the mountain of proof. His world, meticulously built over years, was crumbling before his eyes. But something else stirred within him. Not just grief, not just rage, but clarity. Chloe leaned closer, her eyes glinting with cold determination. "Our goal isn't just to expose her. We want her to feel the weight of what she's done. We want her to understand that betrayal has consequences, real, devastating consequences." Olivia nodded. "She thinks she's untouchable. We're going to prove her wrong." Sophia's voice was calm, chilling in its precision. "We can't undo the damage, but we can make sure she never forgets what she's done." Jack looked at the three women, once his wife's confidants, now his unexpected allies. They weren't just seeking revenge. They were seeking justice. Justice for friendship betrayed, for trust shattered, for lives manipulated. Jack exhaled, his hands no longer trembling. His voice was steady, stripped of the man he used to be. "What do you need me to do?" In that moment, Jack's transformation began. He wasn't a victim anymore. He wasn't even a husband clinging to the fragments of a broken marriage. He was something else entirely. A man with a new purpose. And as the neon light of the diner flickered above them, the pact was sealed. The game was on. By nightfall, the rules had changed. Jack returned home that night with a calm he hadn't felt in weeks. But it wasn't peace. It was the coiled quiet of a hunter, waiting for movement. The following days became a chilling dance of deception. Jack played the perfect husband with flawless precision. He brought Jessica flowers. He cooked her favorite meals. He listened to her stories with a patient smile. But behind that smile, a silent war was being waged. The first strike came from Sophia. During a casual lunch with Jessica, she leaned closer, her tone light but calculated. "Chloe told me you had a crazy week. Something about a guy named Mark?" Jessica's fork paused in midair. Her smile froze. Mark, the name of her secret lover. Her voice trembled slightly, higher than usual. "Who's Mark?" Sophia tilted her head, feigning innocence. "Oh, no one. Just a client Chloe mentioned. Must have gotten the name mixed up, but Sophia's sharp eyes didn't miss it. The flicker of panic crossing Jessica's face. The seed of doubt had been planted. Then, Olivia made her move. Using a burner phone, she sent a single, cryptic text to Jessica's lover. "Jack knows. Be careful, just that. Nothing more." Hours later, when Jessica glanced at her phone, she saw her lover's frantic reply. "What is this? Is he watching us?" Jessica's face drained of color. Her carefully constructed world was beginning to shake. At home, the war grew quieter, deadlier. Jack's words became precision cuts. One evening, Jessica cheerfully mentioned a new coffee shop she had supposedly visited with Chloe. "Oh, is that the one with the mural of the old city?" Jack asked casually, eyes never leaving his book. Jessica's eyes widened ever so slightly. That detail, the mural, was something she had only told Mark. Her voice tightened. Yes, that's the one. How did you know?" Jack shrugged lightly. "Chloe mentioned it the other day. I'm glad you two are spending so much time together. It makes you happy." He smiled, his tone perfectly sincere. But that sincerity felt like a velvet trap drawing tighter. Another night, Jessica stepped onto the balcony, phone pressed tight to her ear. Her voice lowered, urgent. She was talking to Mark. From inside, Jack watched silently, his expression unreadable. When she returned, he looked up from his book, voice calm, almost gentle. "Everything okay, babe?" "You look a little stressed," Jessica forced a smile. "Just work." "You know how it is, of course," Jack replied smoothly. "I just want you to be happy." His words, meant to soothe, now sounded like links closing, one click at a time. Jessica began to feel hunted. Every sound made her flinch. Every closed door made her jump. Her phone never left her hand. She checked it compulsively, desperate, paranoid. The perfect facade she had built was crumbling, brick by fragile brick. The hunter was closing in, and Jessica didn't even know it. But Chloe, Olivia, and Sophia weren't done. They escalated the game. Olivia didn't hack anything. She found what Jessica forgot, a travel tablet still signed into an old backup, asleep in a dusty drawer. Nothing online dies cleanly. Autosaves resurfaced. Ride receipts reappeared. Hotel confirmations stitched a map of secret weekends. Between grocery lists and flight numbers, a private note stared back. Not a joke. Not a metaphor. "He isn't a husband. He's a line of credit." The contempt was unmistakable, and it was only the beginning. Sophia struck next. She picked a rooftop paint and sip, all string lights and easy laughter. Wine softened edges. Laughter loosened locks. Gently, she set her phone on the table with voice memos open, as if catching ambience. Then she asked one question. "Are you happy?" Jessica's guard slipped. Words spilled, unfiltered, sharper than she meant. "He's acting different, maybe he suspects, but it won't matter." He smiles, checks in, then backs off. "We're leaving. Mark and I already circled a date. Jack can keep the house and the dog. He'll sulk, then he'll settle." Predictable Jack. Sophia didn't flinch. She tapped Sauve. Later that night, Jack sat alone in his car, the world outside blurred by rain. His phone buzzed, a single voice memo from Sophia. Hands trembling, he pressed play. Jessica's voice filled the silence. The woman he loved, the woman he trusted. But the words, they didn't shout. They corroded. Every syllable shaved a layer off their past. Love reduced to a budget line. Trust diagrammed like a lesson. When the audio ended, the quiet felt heavier than thunder. Jack didn't speak. He didn't cry. Something inside him let go. The version of him that begged for answers dissolved. In its place stood something steadier, colder, precise. The game was no longer about discovery. It was about delivery. By morning, Chloe, Olivia, and Sophia were already turning raw evidence into a clean timeline. Sophia moved next. She invited Jessica to a rooftop paint and sip, all string lights and harmless gossip. Wine softened edges. Laughter loosened locks. Casually, Sophia set her phone on the table between them with the voice memos app open, as if she were capturing the night's background noise. Then she asked the simplest question in the world. "Are you happy?" Jessica's guard slipped. Her words came out unfiltered, meaner than she realized. He's acting different lately, like he suspects something, but it doesn't matter. He smiles, he asks if I'm okay, and then he backs off. He won't see a thing. We're leaving anyway. Mark and I already picked a date. Jack can keep the house and that ridiculous dog. He'll sulk, then he'll settle. Predictable Jack. Sophia didn't flinch. She just tapped save. Later that night, Jack sat in his car beneath a streetlight rinsed in rain. His phone buzzed. One forwarded voice memo. He pressed play. Jessica's voice filled the cabin, warm in tone, cold in meaning. The sentences didn't shout. They corroded. Every syllable shaved off a layer of their past. Love reduced to a budget line. Trust diagrammed like a lesson. When the audio ended, the quiet felt heavier than thunder. Jack didn't speak. He didn't cry. Something inside him simply let go. The version of him that begged for explanations dissolved. In its place stood something steadier, colder, more precise. The game was no longer about discovery. It was about delivery. The mind games were only the prologue. Now the proof had to stand anywhere. Cold, clean, undeniable. Olivia didn't dig for more secrets. She organized the ones already in plain sight. Timestamps lined up. Rides at 1:13 a.m., hotel check-ins at 1:34, calendar blocks named strategy calls. Receipts matched selfies. The selfies carried location data. The locations matched card swipes. Her screen became a map where lies overlapped like fingerprints. At the center, a date circled in red. 2 days before the anniversary. A flight on hold. 2 seats. No return. Sophia added a clean transcript and file hashes, so nothing could be called edited. Chloe handled the part no one wanted. She sent Mark a folder, dates, places, the circled flight, without insults or theater. You were told she was free, Chloe wrote. Check the date she promised you against the date she promised her husband. Minutes later, Mark replied with one line. I understand. Jack didn't rage. He prepared. He met the venue manager, locked the HDMI, tested audio, and set a countdown slate no one could override. He chose the moment, after the toast, before dessert, when the room would be warmest. He titled the deck with one word. Truth. The board was set. With the board already set, the plan moved on rails, and the stage for Jessica's downfall would be her own kingdom. A grand anniversary party she had meticulously planned. An evening meant to showcase her perfect marriage, her perfect life, her perfect image. It would become the site of her ruin. The night arrived. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and crystal glasses. A string quartet played softly as guests laughed, unaware of the storm waiting to break. Jessica, radiant in a black gown, glided through the room like a queen among loyal subjects. Compliments rained down. Admiring eyes followed her. She glanced at Jack, calm at the bar, sipping his drink with quiet composure. She thought she had won. She thought she was untouchable. She was wrong. At the height of the evening, Jack raised his glass. The room fell silent. He smiled, a warm, genuine smile that seemed to reach his eyes. I'd like to make a toast, he began, voice steady. To my wife, Jessica. For 10 years, she has been the love of my life, the foundation of my world, and my very best friend. Guests murmured in approval. Jessica's chest swelled with pride. Her smile stretched wide. Victory. She believed she had fooled them all, but the toast wasn't finished. Jack set down his glass. He walked to the console and the massive screen at the front of the room, and with a single press of a button, the world shifted. The first image glowed across the screen. Their wedding day, laughter, love, a memory frozen in innocence. Then the images changed. Text messages, photos, each slide carrying timestamps and location data. Promises whispered in the dark to another man. Can't wait to run away with you, Mark. Gasps rippled through the room. Jessica's smile faltered. One by one, the messages scrolled. Mockery, betrayal, intimacy that didn't belong to Jack. And then, the voice memo began. Jessica's voice. Cold. Bitter. Cruel. Jack is pathetic. He just smiles, asks if I'm happy. He'll never see it coming. Her laughter echoed through the ballroom, bouncing off the marble walls, slamming into every stunned face. The guests stared. Mouths hung open. Whispers erupted. Jessica froze. Her eyes widened in horror as her own voice condemned her. She lunged toward the laptop, but Jack was already there, calm and unflinching, blocking her path. The doors swung open. A figure stepped in. Mark, the lover. Jessica's eyes lit up with relief, then clouded with confusion. Mark's gaze was ice. He wasn't here to save her. He was here to bury her. They showed me everything, he said, his voice cutting. You lied to me. You said you were free. You said you loved me. Jessica's mouth opened, desperate. Mark, wait. But he shook his head. I was just another pawn. Just like him, he glanced at Jack. You played us both. And then he turned and walked out, leaving Jessica standing in ruins. The ballroom was silent. No music, no laughter, just judgment. Friends she had betrayed turned away. Colleagues whispered in disgust. Her carefully curated world disintegrated before her eyes. Jessica stood frozen, her black gown now nothing but a shroud of defeat. Tears streaked her face, but no one moved to comfort her. She was alone, utterly, irrevocably alone. Jack watched, his expression unreadable. No triumph, no sorrow, just a cold, quiet peace. The man who had been broken was gone. The hunter had closed the hunt, not with fists, not with rage, but with the truth, and the truth had destroyed her. Jack turned, walked past the shattered woman he once loved, and stepped into the night. The party of her triumph had become her execution, and Jack's silence was the final verdict. Morning arrived like a witness. The city woke as if no storm had passed. But in the phones people carried, the aftershocks were still there. Group chats went politely silent. Office glances looked away with careful grace. A cold email placed Jessica on administrative review. Mark's name vanished behind a gray blocked. Jack was different. He made coffee like any other day. He didn't need the bitterness to remember what he'd survived. He opened a folder labeled Documents, then closed it again. A lawyer would read it for him. Justice doesn't need noise. By late afternoon, Jessica stood at the door, holding a small box like the last piece of herself. Jack opened. He didn't invite her in. He didn't push her away. The boundary was already clear. I won't release anything else, Jack said. This ends in court, not online. She nodded, eyes red, reaching for a door that was already closed. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. That sentence always arrives late, Jack said. He handed her the red scarf she thought she'd lost. It wasn't a trophy anymore. It was just a thing going back where it belonged. Before Jessica turned to leave, Jack asked the question that had followed this story from the start. Are you happy? Her mouth opened. No sound. Happiness can't live on air this thin. Not like this, she said at last. The door closed as softly as a period. Jack set the spare key on the small entry table, beside a frayed charging cable and a sun-faded photograph. Silence was no longer an empty space. It was order. That night he met Chloe, Olivia, and Sophia at a quiet coffee shop. They didn't toast. They didn't replay the evidence. They talked about work schedules, dog food, and a new plant Chloe wanted to keep alive. Revenge stories end loud. Life continues gently, if you let it. On the walk home, Jack paused at a storefront window, his reflection layered over a row of mirrors inside. Revenge wasn't a dish. It was a mirror. A mirror doesn't punish, it reveals. It shows the price printed in the fine print of our choices. And then it asks the only question that matters. Are you happy? If this story found you at the right time, stay with us. Subscribe, tap the bell, and share this video with someone who might need it. Tell us in the comments what you would do. Would you stay silent and let the law handle it, or go public and expose everything? Which moment proves a relationship is already dead? The photo, the text, or the voice? And one last question, just for you, right now. Are you happy?